NHL tracking data. I wonder if you can comment on that so some of the listeners might be interested in.
Yeah, NHL Edge, it just came out and was released. So it's a lot of the tracking data. Doesn't track like zone entries or things like that. What it does, like skating speed, skating distance, shots, shot location, things like that. So NHL Edge is what it's called. EDGE, NHL Edge. So if you look that up, you'll be able to see some interesting stats. How fast players are. And I thought one of the interesting ones was Roman Josi, was out of the top 60 defensemen, if you constrain it a little bit, was the slowest defenseman. Yet he's known as an elite rush player. Yet he's like 3 miles per hour off the fastest player, or the fastest defenseman. I think Kel McCarr might have been fastest or top 3. And I thought that was a super interesting thing of like, maybe it's not about the skills itself. It's how do we utilize the skills or utilize our techniques and abilities, and how does it factor into how we perform. So super interesting for people to go check out and mess around with. And I thought that was a super interesting thing of just, it's how do we play the game that's truly important.
I really appreciate your screen share on that yesterday. It was amazing. And, stats at this level, trying to encourage all the teams to keep track of completed passes. Everybody keeps shots and goals and might record where they're taken from in terms of the number and who and whether it was wide, was blocked, was saved, or went in the net. But tracking passes makes everybody conscious, aware, thinking of that. And I really believe the team that passes the puck the most and the best will have the puck. They can't score. You're more than likely increasing your chances to win by possessing it. And the passing, the word with passing to me now, I'm adding it to it, it's empathy. You've got to really value that. It's not a skill, it's a tactical team tactic, and you can't defend it. So, Tom, your team, I don't know what your max number in a row is. I'd be curious if she would track those passes in a row and just put down those numbers randomly if they were in a row. But when your team last year did 7 in a row at that age, I said, wow, because they're not as talented as your team this year. That's they get the puck, they hound the puck, and they keep the puck and share it better than anybody I've seen. So congratulations, and looking forward to your game this weekend.
Yeah, well, we have a practice tonight, and we're going to, like, we start off with the Russian big moves that Yursinov's thing, and then we play a game of 2 passes at each end. But the rule is that you have to make 2 passes before you can score. But the rule is before they can pass, they have to make an escape move. So going on Greg's thing of moving your feet and taking a few strides. So an escape move, if they're going to do something, they have to do something before they pass. And that's the kind of thing we do all the time. And we're going to do the Johnson power play game as well. And what that is for you guys is like Wally gave me this idea. He'd seen Bob Johnson do it. So the power play is out there, and one player goes a defender. So we have black goals. If the Blacks are on the power play, one goal goes as hard as they can for about 10 seconds. I blow the whistle. They stay until the next player goes in, and they're always pressuring the puck, just so that better than having nobody in there and you pass around, whatever. And it's a good way to, kind of get them to move the puck around. And, so those are the kinds of things that we do. And it seems to work pretty good.
And those that are listening, when Bob Johnson did it with the Calgary Flames, he did an 1.5-hour power play clinic. That drill was the essence of it. he said he was hoping he could go to 5-against-2, but it was frustrating for the power play. And the power play, of course, was getting the puck to Lanny McDonald on his off wing for his one-timer, as most are today with the 1-3-1. But minor hockey level, moving the puck and getting open and being able to take advantage of the space and time to ideally one-time shoot. To me, at the U13 level, power play is a disadvantage because you can pressure and they can't execute plays. So it's an evolving thing, and everybody struggles with it at every level in terms of getting success. But that drill for anybody out there, 5-against-1, and the one I talked to a coach that was doing the drill, and they said that it really wasn't working too well because the penalty killers were lazy. And I said, well, it's a penalty killing drill. One skater, stop and start, beeline skating, lead with the stick for 10 seconds. If you're a penalty killer, that's what you have to do in D zone, 5-on-5. Practice this tactical skating skill to stop and start, straight line skate. And when you change, there's 2 players on the ice while you're changing. It's just, you're teaching the penalty killers as well, but they can't be lazy. They can't just stand around out there. They've got to really force the power play people to move the puck under pressure.
I sent my practice plan in the chat, so if anybody wonders about the game, there's a description of it there.
Tom, I assume you play it in zone, or do you play it full ice? So
for this one here, for that game?
Yeah, the Badger Bob.
Oh,
yeah,
the metal.
That's just
yeah.
one. So that they're all at the blue line. So the team that's killing is lined up, just outside the blue line.
Yeah, I know. I just wanted to clarify for everybody else up there.
Yeah. Okay. And we played another game earlier in the week, because you got 17 skaters in minor hockey, so 5-on-5, and then the last defender doesn't come in the zone, so it's 5-on-4 at each end. And that's a good game for minor hockey when you don't have 8 defensemen, 4 lines, and we did it 6-on-5 as well. We played 6-on-6. And then the last defender didn't go in their defensive zone. So they get to practice. That's the first time I've ever done that. 6-5 at each end, just trying to figure out ways how to practice that.
But just to follow up on that Badger Bob thing, then, and I know I've said this before on here, but I've done it with almost every team that I've coached, including some very, very low-skilled teams at University of Vermont. If you're a coach who faces pressure penalty killing a lot, it's the single best thing you can do to encourage your power play to move the puck quickly, to develop habits, to think ahead. Like, when I get it, I need to move it. And we always do it 5-against-2. And like a normal power play in a game, you need to preload your players. Like, the power play is going to fail 70 to 80 to 85% of the time. It's just the way it is. And it's the same in Badger Bob. You're going to fail a lot, but it's about developing the think ahead skills, the look around, head in a swivel skills, the verbal communication skills, the puck recovery skills, and one-touch passing, quick passing, no dust passing. It's the single best thing you can do I think, to help your power play. And you need to get those 2 penalty killers just simply chasing the puck for 8 or 10 seconds before they change. Like, don't stand around at all. Even when you think you're going to be way too late, you just got to pressure the puck. And it's the best thing you can do for your team. I've seen remarkable puck movement improvement very quickly with very low skilled teams when you do it. So it all depends on how you present it.
How I do it, Tim, is the contest is they go through it once with one. So the whole defending team goes one, and then they go two. So, it kind of makes it a little harder, but the two is, then they really have to be on their toes.
Yeah, and you need to encourage the power play to use their structure as much as they can when they do get control. And we also, when the players are changing, we still encourage the power play. Like, keep trying to score while the players are changing. Try to use your structure. Try to think of it as a game as much as you can, where there's 4 players and not just 2 or none out there. But it's a great drill.
Tim, can you talk about your rodeo on penalty kill for the listeners?
Well, it's not my rodeo, but I stole it from Derek Laxdal, I believe it was. It was his term when he was coaching Edmonton in the Western League. But and we even showed the girls of Denmark some rodeo, even though they weren't familiar. I showed them a 10-second bull ride or an 8-second bull ride. It's just the concept that, like bull riding at the rodeo, if you stay on the bull for 8 seconds, you get a score. If you fall off before 8 seconds, get bucked off, you don't get a score. But it's the concept of that 8-second time frame when you're penalty killing. If you're getting all 4 people to pressure together, try to pressure for 8 seconds minimum, like everybody running, pressuring, chasing for 8 to 10 seconds. Very, very effective, and it's obviously extremely prevalent in the NHL these days, real high pressure penalty killing. So once the pressure is initiated, the rodeo term comes in. Try to keep the pressure on, all as a unit of 4 penalty killers. Try to keep the pressure on for 8 to 10 seconds. It gives you a great chance to create a turnover, get the puck out.
So the gate goes open when there's a free puck or a bobbled puck. Is that it?
Yeah, you need your reads, like when to pressure. Like, we always pressure on rims. After a shot by the power play is a great time to initiate pressure, because there's no possession. If there's a bobbled puck, like where there's no possession, or, like, really importantly, if the power play gets 2 people in really small space, that's a good time to pressure. Or the power play turns their back, so their back is to the middle of the rink where they can't see all their options. That's a good time to pressure. So you need to, help them learn what some of the pressure reads are, for sure.
Peter,
go ahead.
Yeah, well, it just kind of goes back to the point you were making. I have a question about, and what Greg brought up about the stats there, and the importance of those completed passes. So there's a number for percentage for power play. You have this number, you're good. Yeah, penalty kill, you have a certain number, you're good. Shots on goal, that's what we're aiming for. So has this evolved yet to where there is a percentage of completed passes or number of completed passes that you're actually shooting for in a game?
Well, I can maybe interject there, Wally, because Peter and Tom would be aware, because he was part of it 30 years ago at University of Calgary. We took this stat. We did pass efficiency through the game. Our friend Stuart Behe put it on a big, huge spreadsheet. It was introduced, I think, the year before by God rest his soul, Bob Murdoch. He came back from San Jose. And anyway, to get to your question, we pretty quickly developed targets for our team, and they're going to be different for different teams. We had a really skilled team, but we realized pretty quickly that when we had an effective power play generating scoring chances, we were making on the order, if I believe, and Tom might help me remember it correctly, 11 or 12 completed passes a minute on the power play. So you imagine pretty quick puck movement. When we were doing that, we had success on the power play. And when we, as a team, touched the puck, like we had a real good team, and we would touch the puck in good games on the order of 400 or 500 times a game. And when we played poorly, we touched the puck, 270, 300 times a game, quite a marked difference. And we ended up giving defensemen a passing efficiency target of 80% or higher. And by passing efficiency, I mean a completed pass, but we also gave them credit if, because there are times in the game where the best play for a defenseman or the smart play is to just clear the puck out. So as long as they didn't have a really obvious second or obvious passing option where we could maintain possession, we gave them a plus for their puck touch if they cleared the zone, if they're under pressure. So there's a lot that goes into the stats, but we had huge spreadsheets that were really, really effective and really provided some great feedback for the players over time.
That's a benefit of having Stuart being an engineer. He loved that stuff.
Oh, yeah. And it'll be interesting over time as the NHL tracks all this stuff. I'm sure we'll come up with a stat that says, hey, you need, this number of completed passes on a power play to effectively generate scoring chances, or whatever the question is.
Well, what Mudd said about that, he said that if his team was 65% on, on making a pass or clearing a zone, they had a good chance of winning. If they were 60%, they got clobbered. And if they were 70%, they usually ran away with the game. So that he said it was, when he coached Winnipeg, that was the only stat that he really paid attention to.
Yeah.
Puck management, I guess, eh?
Yeah. And obviously the defenseman, generally speaking, would have a higher percent target.
They have to be higher.
Yeah, like the forward,
pretty costly.
Yeah, forwards in the offensive zone, like 70% would be a great passing percentage. Like 70% of the time, you do something positive with the puck because you're under more pressure and more things can happen. But that's kind of the guide that we went by back then, and that's like 30 years ago. Bob was ahead of the game.
I'd like to simplify that, Peter. In Tom's case, with U13 girls hockey, I would like to experiment with completed passes for both teams. The team that completes the most passes, what is the outcome? And it's interesting because I'm assuming that if you outpass a team significantly, like 50-10 or 40-10, you should win. It sort of makes sense, but I'm not sure it's true. I watched an under 15 game, and the team I was working with outpassed the opponent 42-12, but lost 7-3. And
get a new goalie.
No, yeah, that played a part in it, but part of it was a breakdown on the forecheck where they could go coast to coast with the puck at will. And that's what that team tends to do. So, Tom, when you play that team, you better not let that puck carrier go coast to coast because they are not going to pass at all.
Well, that's what I think in minor hockey. That's our kind of mantra is most of the teams we play 1-on-5. So we know we have to be really good on defensive one-on-ones.
Yeah.
And we always back pressure the puck carrier. So it's a 1-on-2 for them. And then you usually get the puck back if the other team doesn't pass.
Yeah.
But if you're not good on one-on-ones, and we've done your thing with no sticks and this kind of stuff, you're not good on one-on-ones, and that good player that can beat everybody is going to beat everybody.
Probably watching the Flames too much if they don't have their sticks on the ice and not good one-on-one.
Close the door off. On 2-on-1s, he gets beat every time. I don't know what he does.
Oh man, we digress. Greg, one of the things for me, I was just talking about this the other day. I was mentioning this to some friends of mine. One of the shot stats, or one of the stats I wish they would change in the NHL, is the shot block stats. Like, when I was coaching in Atlanta, there was a player. We had a defender who became an NHL coach, but he used to blow his own horn about how he was leading, or was one of the leading defensemen in the league with shot blocks. And I never saw him once deliberately try to block a shot. Like he was, he'd get hit with the puck, like a shot from the point, and he would be going about his business as he should be in front of the net, maybe trying to tie up a stick or something like that. And the puck would hit him, and they give him credit for blocking a shot. And like why they do that, I have no idea. If the puck hits you, you get a credit for a shot block. There needs to be some intention or some deliberateness, I feel, like to get credit for blocking a shot. And it would be a pretty easy stat, I think. Wouldn't require much in the way of discretion to determine whether a player was deliberately trying to get in a shooting lane or deliberately trying to block a shot. But the shot block stats are, I just don't give them much credence because of that.
Well, why should we care about it, right? Like, it means you don't have the puck. You're having to solve a problem rather than maybe ensure that a problem doesn't occur in the first place. Like, I'd rather have a problem preventer than a problem solver. Someone who makes sure the shot never gets taken, that kind of stuff. So I'm with you. I think it's a relatively useless stat. I'm not sure on the difference between measuring it, whether it's on purpose or not, makes much of a difference, because either way, the shot is getting blocked, and that's what we're trying to
for me, it makes a difference.
But I mean, from a coaching standpoint, I see your point.
From a coaching standpoint, in terms of valuing a player, I think whether it's deliberate or not deliberate is really important. And I don't get me wrong. Shot blocking is a huge part of being an effective player, an effective team. But the deliberateness of it is my point. Like it just, I got my back turned, puck hits me in the back or in the butt because it happened to be in the right place randomly. I don't feel like I should be credited as a player for that. Anyway, just a little pet peeve of my own.
I think the game has changed today. Shot blocking years ago, I know that, who's the European coach that he was talking at a clinic in Hockey Alberta advocating not shot blocking. He said the risk of injury with players, and he cited one of the Sundins breaking his arm, blocking a shot. He advocated no shot blocking. And he advocated getting in the shooting lane, making yourself big, staying up. And today, they really don't shoot to score from the point. It's smart shooting. So you discourage the shot, and they've got to get the puck through you. So I'm not sure that stat has got as much relevance in the game in the last 4 or 5 years. But point shooting now, kids are worried about their shot from the point, and to me, that's insignificant. If you can wrist from the point to facilitate a chance to score and keep the puck in the zone, I think that's going to be way more important. So I'm not sure how significant shot blocking is going to be. I know that at that clinic, I spoke up and I said, and you're giving a clinic in Canada and telling us not to block shots. I said, I don't know how much success you're going to have making your point. I got an email from one of the attendees taking the course who had a kid that was hit in the chest and died from a shot block. So that made me think twice about this at a younger age, shot blocking. And I don't even know if coaches refer to it. Tom, do you talk about shot blocking or
Oh,
just
yeah.
getting in the shooting lane?
Oh, well, we practice it. We practice, getting in the lane and then going out, getting the defensive position before going out. But I've never taught, that going down on one knee sideways one and those kind of things. Just get the shin pads in the way and controlled skating so they don't go sliding by the guy. And I think it's an important part of the game that, that they block shots, especially point shots.
Yeah, you don't leave your feet except in desperation, of course, or if you're staring at something goes cross ice and the guy's staring at or the girl's staring at a 4x6 and you're a defenseman there, yeah, you might want to slide or get down on one knee to try to block the shot. You stay on your feet as much as you can, of course, but still, it's kind of a lost skill in lots of ways.
Well, that going down, players are so good with toe drags now and that. When the D's go down now, they just wait for him to slide by and pull the puck back.
Gives the goalie a chance to recover, though. It gives the goalie more time to recover, so you're still accomplishing something.
Yeah, well, like you said, there's always a time and a place. But if I remember when the French coach with the Flames, they practice that every practice, the slide, eh?
Paget?
No,
Guy Chiron?
No, the more recent.
Oh, Hartley.
Yeah, Hartley.
Yeah.
I guess he's French.
Yeah.
But anyway, they practice. That was their kind of 2-on-1. I go watch their practices, and they practice that slide all the time.
Yeah, and I think I remember that as well, Tom. And that, again, it's not a never do this kind of thing for me. There's a time and a place for a defenseman to use the full body slide on a 2-on-1. I wouldn't ever tell a defenseman you can't ever do this. It's a skill like anything else, but it's not something you want to default to all the time. It's a timing thing, and it's a hockey sense thing, and it can be very effective. Yeah, and I do remember them practicing, with Hartley.
Yeah, I've got all kinds of video of them practicing that slide, more than any other coach I ever saw.
Yeah.
He did angling a lot too.
Yeah, the one knee stick down is also very effective on a 2-on-1 to deny the pass and everything else. Yeah, a lot of skills.
Yeah, and you can get up from that.
Yeah.
Well, look, guys, I've run the gauntlet on the list here with Greg. I'm just curious, Greg, if you're back on board again. I heard the baby making a little bit of noise, but Craig, possibly you can chime in. I don't know how much of what we went on about you heard, but if you have anything at all to add, I'd sure appreciate it.
Shot blocking for me, I really don't care about it personally. I'd rather you just close down space in a controlled manner. That's most important for me on that. The only other thing I had on my side is just like when we talk about skating development, making sure there's a puck involved. So I call it puck-centric skating. Because if you look at any kind of skating with a puck, like the puck moves first and you do it in relation to the puck. And I know a lot of players that have great skating strides, but as soon as you put a puck in there, their mechanics and everything completely breaks down. It's really bad. And then I've seen the opposite where like mechanics kind of stink, but then you throw a puck in and suddenly their posture is better and it solves a lot of issues. So for me, getting pucks involved with skating development early and often is fantastic and something I'd love to see more of. So that would be my 2 cents and 2 things that I want to drop in there. I do have to run, but Wally, thanks for putting this together as always. Good seeing everyone.
Yeah, thanks, Greg.
Thanks very much, Greg.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
We'll see everybody next week.